Hello, greetings. Welcome to the very first edition of the Cinema Effect podcast show thing that we're making here. I'm Zach,
Mm.
and I'm joined by Liam. How are you?
Liam, I'm good. I'm good. How are you,
Great,
Zach?
great to hear from you. Yeah, I'm okay. Just been a kind of boring weekend day kind of thing.
Funny week
Funny week. Oh, it's been a crazy week out there.
with the news and all.
I know. Well,
Have you,
lucky I don't. I don't. I don't go outside, so it's fine.
yeah, have you heard of this coronavirus thing? It's pretty big
Oh,
recently.
nah. Sorry, nah. I hadn't heard of that. Is that
No,
like a Nah.
I don't
Is that like
know.
some kind of lawsuit with the beer company or?
I've seen it in the news a lot. I'm not really sure about the
Mm,
details, but it's a pretty
I'll
big
have,
thing.
I'll have to.
Pretty big thing at the moment.
I'll have to look that up. Oh my god. So, other than keeping up with the ridiculous amount of, the end of the world news and apocalypse and all that fun stuff, have you been up to anything else?
No, I think. Well, I think uni's gonna be cancelled in next week or something. So then I'll
It,
have
so,
really nothing to do. But yeah.
so what's up with that? Is there like developments with that? Have the people that run the uni or whatever have they said stuff about that?
Um, At the moment, our vice chancellor just sent a email saying they're still following the regulations or the what the Victorian so and so have recommended. So they're basically saying, "Oh, we're
Mm,
not doing anything yet." But
right.
I reckon in maybe 2 weeks or a week they'll probably say something.
And do you reckon they'll just switch it all to online at that point? I guess so.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Right. It's crazy. God. I was saying last night, like, I feel like this year, 2020, and especially how it's going right now, it feels like it's going to end up being something that in decades, people are going to look back on and go, like, oh, remember that one year where, like, no one could leave the house or, like, no one could go to anything or do anything?
Yeah, it's definitely historic moment, I guess.
Yeah, not in the not in the right way. No, I agree with you
Mm.
100%. All right. Well, this is Cinema Effect. Um, it's a show. It's a thing that we're making here. We're kind of jumping on. Hopefully it's semi okay.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Basically, absolutely. That's always the goal. So the idea is at this point in time that we review and talk about a new film every single week. Will we do it? I've got absolutely no idea. Who knows? But that's the idea. And we'll see how it goes. I don't know. The film we've been talking about it, and the idea is that the movie we talk about, excuse me, every week it has to be something that the hosts have seen recently. So it doesn't have to be a new film, doesn't have to be an old film. It can be any film, literally. Like,
Yeah.
so as long as we've all watched it recently. I think
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool
just
idea.
so just so we both can talk about it in more detail about specifics in the movie, scenes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Absolutely. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't last too long.
yeah, exactly.
So make sure you're subscribing to the show on YouTube at the YouTube channel. I would normally say, youtube.com/cinema effect, but unfortunately, due to our literally zero subscribers, I can't say that. We've got no URL. So, I think it should be a link somewhere. Or otherwise, if you're not already watching it on YouTube, which you probably are, then it'll be a link on the podcast stuff. And then segueing into that, you can also listen to the show, hopefully on your preferred podcast app. If I'm being completely transparent, I have not set this up yet, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I've looked into it, and this episode should go up fine and smoothly on the podcast apps. So then, in that case, subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're listening there, and leave us a 5-star review. I don't want to see any 4-star reviews. I don't tolerate 4-star reviews.
Mm,
Completely unacceptable. 5-star reviews only.
yeah, only amazing. That's no grace.
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely. We don't tolerate that crap. And last piece of housekeeping crap I got here. If you want to submit any thoughts, questions, feedback, anything, feel free to do so. You can probably do it anywhere because I can guarantee you I'll see it, whether it's on the YouTube comments or you tweet at us or I don't know, anything. Feel free to do that. That'd be great. Um, all right, so let's get into it. The film that we're talking about today is Collateral.
Collateral, yeah, by Michael
And
Mann, who directed Heat.
yes, by Michael Mann. Yeah, absolutely. He did. Oh, we'll get into. Oh, don't. You- if
I've
I
read.
wish you could see my notes right now full of oh god, all the information I've got here. We'll get into it in a second.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my god, but I guess what were we doing? We were just kind of we needed to choose a first film to talk about, and this seemed like as good a choice as any, I guess.
Yeah, well, we both hadn't seen it, and it was on a streaming service we both have, so we just thought, pick this one, pretty much.
Absolutely, yeah, I guess so. So I personally I watched the film this morning, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
very fresh with it. When did you see it?
Oh, I just saw it yesterday. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, there we go. See, that's the idea. Recently, it's all in our heads.
Yep.
Now, I want to do this. I believe we might change it, but at the start of every show, when we talk about a film, I want to go through a ton of the information about a film because I feel like it's a cool idea to kind of bring attention to different aspects of filmmaking and production and the roles that different individuals have that are often underappreciated. You know, we often talk about the director, we talk about the actors, obviously, but so I feel like it'd be a good idea in a kind of this opening segment, if you will, to go through what I've written here as the IMDb info dump. That's what I've written.
Okay. That's
It's an
good.
absolutely terrible name, isn't it?
It is, but we'll figure that out.
as soon as, as soon as as soon as I wrote that, I just no, I don't like it at all. So yeah, we need to come up with a better name for that one because I feel like there's some potential there for something clever, you know.
Just not,
But
yeah, not yet.
no, not yet. We haven't found it yet. All right, so bear with me as I continue to spout nonsense about the film. Here we go. The film opened in the US on the 8th of August 2004. The director, as Fitzy mentioned, is Michael Mann, who most notably, he's directed a ton of stuff like all these people do, but he most notably directed, as you mentioned, Heat, The Insider. Is that a film you've seen? Have you seen The Insider?
Don't think so. The Insider.
It's Al Pacino and Russell Crowe, and it's this true story thing about basically the guy who works for this tobacco company and like leaks out basically how bad cigarettes are for you, essentially.
Okay. Another two men up against each other then.
No, they team up. They team up,
Oh,
but
they team up? Okay.
they do. But I'm very glad you mentioned the two men facing each other dynamic because I've got some things to say about that, and obviously as it relates to Heat,
Mm,
those similarities are very clear.
yeah, we'll probably be mentioning Heat a lot in this because I think there are a lot of similarities and stuff to talk about between the two. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other film I wrote down here is he directed Ali, which is that Muhammad Ali biopic, I guess you'd call it, with Will Smith back in 2000 or something. So he directed
Okay.
that. Kind of random. The film was written by Stuart Beattie, who and this guy's got an interesting kind of collection of films he's written. He wrote the first Pirates of the Caribbean film. What was that called? Do you know?
Part of the Caribbean, the Curse of the
Curse
Black Pearl. Is that it?
Black, yeah, right.
Pearl.
Curse of the Black Pearl.
I think I said Pearl. Yeah,
What
Pearl.
did you say?
I said
What did you
Peel. I
say?
think I said Peel or something. Pearl. Yeah, Pearl.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Next.
Okay. Yeah. Great. And he wrote the 2009 GI Joe reboot, which I'm sure is terrible. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I think I saw that once. Pretty bad.
Really? Oh God.
Anyway,
Yeah.
he's
Well,
Australian. There you go.
maybe once we do. What was that? Sorry.
He's Australian as well. There you go.
He is too. That's a good point. That's a good point. Um, but I mean, look, once we get to episode 300 of this show, obviously we'll definitely be covering the GI Joe reboot.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
must
must
watch.
watch. Oh god! All right, cinematography was done by Dion Beebe and Paul Cameron. The film was edited by Jim Miller, Paul Rubel. That was two people, by the way. I just didn't put an and in the middle like an idiot. Um, uh, and look, I'm not going to go through what everyone's done. Okay, just calm down. Only the writers and directors get to get the past shit out of the way. Actually, I'm going to immediately contradict myself because I wrote for the composer. The film was composed by James Newton Howard, who, if you go and look at his IMDb credits, has apparently written music for everything under the sun. You won't believe the amount of films this guy's composed for.
Yeah.
He was the composer. He was the co-composer for Batman Begins and The Dark Knight with your boy Hans Zimmer. He was the composer of the Fantastic Beasts films. I don't think he's the reason they're bad. And he's also composed Hunger Games and I Am Legend.
There you go. I didn't really find the soundtrack to be a big thing in the movie, but I guess we'll talk about that.
Interesting. I'm really looking forward to talking about that now you say that, because it was a big thing for me for sure.
Yeah, I just didn't. I don't think I noticed it much, but maybe it was there, adding to the
Oh,
tone.
here you
I
go.
don't know.
This is good. This is good. We're going to bring all these different perspectives together here.
Yeah. What was the
All
budget?
these different perspectives. Like there's only two of us.
What was the budget?
Oh,
Oh,
I'll
did you
get to
mention
it.
that?
Don't worry.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
100% I
Yeah,
did. Don't you worry
go
about it.
for your data dump then.
Data dump. No, hang on. I'm changing it right now. I wrote IMDb info dump like I said. I'm changing it
Oh, I thought you said
this
data dump.
second. Yo, data dump is way better. I'm changing it
Oh
because it
yeah,
actually has that alliteration.
you did the alliteration, you know.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for saying that. That's great. All right. The film stars Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, Jada Pinkett Smith, who is Will Smith's wife, and she's the chick, the lawyer.
Yeah.
And
Who happens
yeah,
to be?
I'm not gonna lie, I always feel bad when I go like, oh, this person is just X's husband or X's wife, but you know.
Yeah. What else has she been in?
I had a look and she was the hippo in Madagascar.
Oh, that there you go. Madagascar, great movie, Madagascar.
Oh god. We'll get to that. We'll get to that one too, apparently. And finally, Mark Ruffalo. There are other actors we'll mention, I think, but that's kind of the top build.
Yeah.
The main studio was Paramount. And this is actually, I will say now, because this is kind of an interesting discussion, I think, to have as we kind of talk about films on this show. I think it'll be interesting for both of us to kind of just learn more about how films are made and things like that. And something I've never quite understood is the way in which different studios kind of collaborate to make a movie. Because we all know at the start of the vast majority of films these days, there's like 8 logos. And then when I obviously looked up the studio for this film, Paramount was the main one there I recognized, but then there were like 3 others as well. And I'm like, I guess Paramount's the main one because they're the big one, right?
Okay.
So
What are
I
the
don't
other
know.
ones?
That's something that one was I couldn't tell you what the other ones were. One was DreamWorks for sure. And see, I don't know how that links into it. So super weird. But
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of weird. But I don't know. Maybe we'll figure that out as we go. The budget, as you asked, was $65 million,
Okay.
and the worldwide box office was $221 million. So don't they? And maybe this is something you know more about than me. Don't they typically say that if you triple the budget of a film, and if the box office makes that amount, the film is a success or considered a success?
Um, what I always heard was that the marketing always costs about the same amount as the actual budget for the film. So you got to make more than double the film. So I guess triple the film that'd be sort of the amount of the area you'd be profitable, I guess.
Yeah. I guess those two statements kind of work together, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, because that makes sense, right? Anyway, so I guess okay. So I guess using our logic, the film was a success,
Yeah,
not a smash hit.
financial success. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm almost there. The genre is that it's an action thriller. I thought I'd throw that in there just in case anyone hasn't seen the film, just to kind of paint a picture of what it's about, which I'll continue to do right now. The run time is 2 hours, and a very brief synopsis is a cab driver finds himself the hostage of an engaging contract killer. Oh no, I said that right. Don't worry. As he makes his rounds from hit to hit during one night in Los Angeles. All right, Liam, what did you think of Collateral?
Collateral. I thought it was sort of solid on all levels, but it didn't really excel on any level for me personally. I thought it was like
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot like Heat in that it's sort of it relies on its script a lot and kind of takes basic like a kind of basic philosophical idea or traditional screenwriting idea and applies that to real people and real situations. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought about it.
What traditional idea are you referring to there?
Like, if you were to, it kind of reminded me of something that would be, even though I haven't taken a screenwriting class, but something that would be a traditional example of a good script in a screenwriting class. Like everything was sort of set up in a way that's like, okay, so you got the characters, and then this character needs to go for a change, so you introduce this element, and then it's sort of
Mm.
a linear line happens when he goes from this point to this point A to point B. It's sort of a, yeah, I don't know, just in that way, it's kind of a traditional script, I guess.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Okay, what did
I
you think
feel
about it?
I thought the film was solid. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was a good, not great movie. I think
Mm,
it definitely. I don't want to say it has potential because it definitely fulfills its potential in a lot of areas. Um, but then there are some other things that I'm like, I don't know if that really worked for me as much. And then I don't know. I don't feel like all the elements completely work together to make something that's like, holy shit, that was great. You know.
mm, yeah,
Uh those comparisons to Heat are going to be very relevant, I think, throughout this discussion because the film is quite similar to Heat in a lot of ways, and but I don't think it's nearly as good as Heat.
no, neither do I.
I shouldn't say nearly as good. I don't know about that. I think they're like, eh. No, it's not. I'll just say it's not as good as Heat. I'll say that.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and also because, I mean, the comparison is very uh apt, I guess, because just like Heat, you've got two men that are battling against each other, sort of to the death, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
in Heat, they kind of the same character, just on different sides of the law. And in Collateral, they're completely different and kind of learning off each other. But
Yeah,
yeah, I just think that just so many technical elements are better in Heat. But I think there's definitely more to say about this movie because there's
mm.
sort of conflicting philosophies between the characters and stuff like that. Whereas Heat, it's sort of all one thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, Heat kind of just feels like it. To me, at least, just kind of felt like a really cool, really well executed crime drama. Whereas this feels like there is that philosophical kind of depthness that exists in it.
yeah. So should we talk about that? The kind of ideas in it and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, why not? Let's start off real deep. Um. So you kick us off on this end. I think you should do that.
Okay. Um. Well, I thought the movie. So it's. I think it was kind of obvious what I was going for. Not. Not that that's a bad thing, but I mean, I think like the whole. Okay, so I think the whole point was Jamie Foxx's character is kind of very passive and wants these things in his life that he hasn't really acted on. You know, he's been a taxi driver for 12 years and all this
Hmm.
stuff and wants to start his own limo company, but he's too afraid of the financials and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's character is basically there to kick him into gear and change him for the better to a person who takes more action. That's how I saw it anyway.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you. I actually wrote here that very briefly. I wrote that the film kind of very much touches on themes regarding taking action in life, and I felt Jamie Foxx's character. What's his character's name again? Oh, Max. That's right, Max.
Max, yeah.
Um, I kind of felt his arc was very much about becoming a proactive person when he was a reactive person to an extent.
Yeah, that's another way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the film delivers um, that arc pretty well. I think.
Yeah, adequately, yeah. Sure.
I think, yeah. I think in that sense, it's cool that it has that kind of progression for its main character, where, as you mentioned, Heat doesn't really have anything like that.
Yeah. Well, Heat, I think Heat still has the kind of exploration of like characters take their who don't care about relationships, who take their career over their
Mm.
personal lives, social lives, I guess. But
Right, yeah.
yeah, this has much more of a dialogue between two different sides, I guess.
Yeah, because yeah, that's right. I hadn't. It's been a while since I saw Heat, so you're kind of, I guess, in that sense, referring to the stuff that happens all with Al Pacino's character.
Well, also with Robert De Niro's character because like he always talks about in the Heat where oh you got the 30 seconds and you got to leave the person or whatever, and at the end that happens to him with his girlfriend or whatever, you know, and he didn't want to leave is kind of the point anyway that he either wanted to stay in the game or get killed by Al Pacino's character. Like he never wanted
Mm.
relationships in the first place is kind of the point. I see it as at least in the at the end of Heat. But yeah,
What you're saying sounds right to me. I honestly can't really remember much about this girlfriend character you're talking about. I need to see that movie, but again, but
she's like they
um,
met in a cafe and they're like she's like the artist.
yeah, and they're on that, and they talk on the balcony and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. Um, well, I mean, I think we pretty well just summed up Jamie Foxx's arc in this movie. I think we kind of nailed it, to be honest.
Yeah, well that's the thing about the movie. Like when I say it's obvious, it's kind of what I mean is like there's only one sort of interpretation of what the philosophy or ideas of the movie is going for. It's this
Hmm.
thing with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise's character Vincent, the back and forth between action and inaction when there's no other there's no
Mm,
other way to really interpret it. I guess it's sort of traditional in
yeah,
that way, you know.
yeah, absolutely. I get you. Um, I guess while we're, again, Heat will continue coming up, but for multiple reasons. But while we're kind of talking about this comparison to other films, I think another interesting comparison, at least one that I found, was Training Day. Have you seen Training Day?
Yeah, yeah, I have
Cool. How long do you know? How long ago did you see it?
quite a while ago. Yeah, but
Okay, okay. For me, the film feels very similar to Training Day as well. Not only because it only this film takes place over a night. Training Day obviously is a day, so there's that kind of structural similarity in setting, but also the again the dynamic between these conflicting ideologies between these two characters that are also having to drive around a lot. That's a bit I'm projecting on that one, but I definitely saw a lot of Denzel's character in Training Day, not so much personality wise, but in terms of the way in which he serves the plot and um, I guess the impact he has on the other character, which would be Ethan Hawke in that movie. But then you swap that out for Tom Cruise to Jamie Foxx in this movie.
yeah, yeah,
Do you get what I mean?
yeah, yeah, of course, yeah,
Yeah, cool. Okay. Um, well, I may as well. I'm just going to throw it out here now, all right? Because I saw it written here, and I feel like it's a solid place to start. Tom Cruise is in this movie. He's actually the top billed actor, even though I feel like, I mean, he's the bigger name, I guess, or at least at the time. He's still the bigger name now, right? Than Jamie Foxx, you'd reckon.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, but he's not. Tom Cruise is not the central character of this movie, though.
No, yeah, central character is definitely Jamie Foxx's character, Max. Yeah,
Yes, and talking about those two actors, I personally found Tom Cruise to be very good in this movie, and Jamie Foxx to be okay.
yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Did you find Tom Cruise's performance? Did you find that it's really surprised you? Because it did me.
Um, well, I think Tom Cruise is obviously a very good actor. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
you haven't seen Magnolia, but like he's definitely shown that he's a character actor through movies like this and Magnolia, whereas you usually just see him playing the same sort of character in action movies, so I think some people have that kind of reaction when they see him in a something that's different. It's like, oh wow, Tom Cruise can, he can really
Connect.
connect. But yeah,
Well, that's true. Sorry, what's that film you were mentioning there that he's in?
Magnolia, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Right. Okay. How old's that one?
I think it was 2000, like 2000 ish, 1999
Okay.
ish. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I mean, look, yeah, you're absolutely right. I definitely have not seen Tom Cruise in enough of these roles, but to be fair, like he does do the action stuff a lot of the time, and Mission Impossible is fantastic. But Tom Cruise, he kind of pops up. You reckon he pops up like once a year? You know, he comes in a movie once a year, and it's normally one of these kind of action blockbuster things. So, I
yeah,
mean, in my defense, is all I'm saying.
yeah. And you don't usually see him play a villain as well. Is the thing.
No,
And this is
no,
definitely
definitely not.
playing a villain. The same in Magnolia is kind of a not a villain, but like a bad influence, bad character. So yeah,
Right. He's very good as the villain in this movie. So much so that I didn't know anything about the movie going into it, other than the director and that Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx were in it. That's literally all I knew about it. And I feel like Tom Cruise is so good in the movie that literally within the first 20 seconds, just by him, there's that scene, that opening scene where he's just walking through the airport.
mm.
And I already could feel that he's the villain of this movie. And I didn't know that.
You didn't know that.
No, I didn't. I just feel like he has this really good presence, and I don't know. Like I'm no actor, so I can't really speak to his thought process to it. But it just to me really felt like he just delivered on the physicality of a villain in those moments, and
Yeah,
just in
definitely.
obviously every moment, but particularly there, I was like, holy shit, this ain't no Tom Cruise hero movie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I love how he basically becomes Terminator at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
That shit was crazy. He got shot in the neck, and then he's like doing the absolutely fabulous Tom Cruise run, all in the subway, and jumps on the train. I was enjoying the hell out of all that
I
stuff.
could have sworn that Jamie Foxx went downstairs to get the bottom train, and then Tom Cruise got the top train. Maybe I should rewatch it.
That kind of thing actually happened to me a few times in the movie, where I feel like maybe deliberately so. Um, the direction and or editing was kind of confusing in some moments where I'm like, wait,
Hmm.
where'd he go?
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you there. I was kind of like, wait, which goddamn train is Jamie Foxx even in?
Yeah, and some shots in the movie I thought lingered a bit too long, or just were running for too long. Like there was a scene sort of near the climax where Tom Cruise and the lawyer lady were
Mhm.
in the building together, and there's just like 20 or so seconds of like shadows moving and stuff, and you're trying to figure out like where the two people are in the building, and that kind of stuff popped up sometimes with the direction, but yeah.
Are you talking about? You're talking about the final bit where, well, not the final bit, but the where they're in the law. Oh, sorry. By the way, I didn't even say this. Obviously, this is a full spoilers discussion. I'd hope you've seen the movie, even if you've seen it ages ago. This will hopefully be a good way for you to remember it. If you haven't seen it, then feel free to listen to us talk about something you've got no idea, you've got
Alright.
no context for. But what I was mentioning was the scene where it's all dark and they're in that the law office, right?
That's the scene. I just felt it was a bit. Some of the scenes were like confusing in that they weren't focusing on anything. Sometimes they were just focusing on random shots. Sometimes.
Yeah, I that scene that you're mentioning definitely stuck out to me because yeah, I wrote down that that scene was bad for me. I was and it only to be fair, it only lasted like a minute. Where there and you're talking about where Tom Cruise and Jada's character they're both in this dark office space and you can't see anything and they're basically Jada's trying to run away from him and he's trying to kill her and she's like crawling on the floor and I've no idea where any of them are in relation to
Mm,
each other and I feel like there's tension there that I'm supposed to feel that I just don't.
yeah. I think that was like the intention, but it didn't really feel like that.
Yeah,
Felt kind of lost, kind of
it did feel
clueless.
lost.
Yeah.
It did. Mechanically lost, that's a great term.
I didn't say that. I said Did I say
What'd you
that?
say?
Wait, are you
I
saying
think you
that
said
I?
Did you?
No, I just said
What?
Lost.
You just said Lost?
Yeah, you you
Ah,
you put
I
the
thought
word
you said.
mechanically in there.
I thought you said mechanically lost, as in like like the mechanics of the structure of the film like gets you lost. And I'm like, wow, that's
Oh
a really
right.
smart like critic term right there. That's really
Oh
clever.
yeah, no, I said that. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah, I thought so. Thank you for clearing that up. I'll chuck that one in the vocab.
that's right.
Oh god. Well, um, yeah, I think going on those kind of lines, the film does. I think it lacks tension overall. To be honest, I think throughout,
Hmm.
and obviously in some scenes more than others, but I feel like there are scenes where I feel like my heart should be pounding like 9 out of 10, but it's really a 6. Like I'm like, this isn't that exciting.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that. I was just gonna say that I thought the movie was a bit, like, at a certain point, it just got a bit predictable, a bit conventional. Like in Training Day, spoilers for Training Day, I guess. But yeah, I think at the end, Ethan Hawke's character pretty much, becomes the mentor or whatever, becomes, you know, overdoes him. And
Hmm.
same thing with same thing with this and Heat. It's sort of the same idea. Like you knew
Mm.
he was gonna say, and also I I just hated some of the conveniences in the movie. Like
Yes, thank
obviously,
you.
obviously the lawyer being the fifth one was just
Yeah,
one of those things, one of those movie things that just had to be in there. But
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Well, in relation to that specific, I've definitely taken note of some coincidences too. But with that one, with the lawyer being the fifth contract, what confused me about that was, and maybe there's a detail I'm overlooking here that you might be able to justify to me, but the confusing thing is for me, Max picked up Tom Cruise at the start, right, at that law building, because that's where Max dropped her off, right?
um, didn't he go back to the airport? Didn't pick Vincent up? I
No,
don't know.
didn't. Oh, hang on. Didn't Tom Cruise get in right there?
So like Max dropped her off at the law building, and then Tom Cruise got in.
That's what I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. Was there a scene where he drove to the airport in between there?
I don't know. I thought he was walking out of a metro at the start.
Hmm. Shit. All
I
right.
don't know.
Well, now we're at a stalemate here. I'm not sure. Well, but what I was going to say, if that's true, if which I could very well be wrong, but if Tom Cruise gets in at the law building, his target was like literally there 10 seconds ago. So like, doesn't he know the target's like here? Like, why is that the last target?
Yeah, well, maybe he was like looking for her. It's like, oh, I can't find her. Shit.
I don't know, you can try and justify it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, if it was a law building, then it's pretty silly. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah, that is weird. Yeah, but you're absolutely right though. That character coming back at the end was like, yeah, all right, sure.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't really like that.
Um, Another coincidence I found was, and I actually thought about this a bit more, and maybe it's not a coincidence, but when the cops pull them over, in the cab, and
Uh,
for having the broken
yeah,
windshield, and they get called away.
yeah. Was that from Vincent or was that? Yeah, I
Yeah,
was thinking that
yeah, I
too.
don't know.
Um, because they said shot, so maybe it was current. Maybe it wasn't Vincent. But like, yeah, I just either way, it kind of that kind of thing still annoys me. Like, they're looking and they're about to find it, and then they get called away for some other reason. Just
Yeah,
one of those other things that just bother me with the movie because like it is, it does feel a bit like a movie of its genre, action thriller genre, but at the same time, you can tell that Michael Mann is sort of an auteur director. He has a vision and stuff. So it's just annoying that these things from the movie industry kind of seep into this movie. Things that aren't
yeah,
really don't have to be there.
yeah. And I guess that really comes down to the screenplay, really.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And that movie
Um,
definitely, um, like the screenplay weighs heavily on the movie. Definitely, there's a lot of dialogue and stuff. So you obviously want the screenplay to be good if it's having such a big role in the movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I mean, for me personally, like the screenplay is the core of any film. I know obviously you can prefer whatever you like, but in my opinion, um, and I'm not just going on a tangent. I feel like it's kind of relevant in this discussion
Mm.
because for me, I feel like the script is the story and the way it's executed. Um, it's not all about obviously the way it's executed, but the script is the heart of any movie because films are inherently a visual method of storytelling.
Yeah.
So to me, we can talk about. I totally love talking about acting and cinematography and the score, which I definitely am going to. But for me, like yeah, the script is the core of the movie. If the script's bad, the film can't be that good automatically by default. So I feel like you've got to have a good script, and then from there, the film's probably most of the time, if you've got a good script, the film's probably automatically a 6 out of 10 to me, and then we go from there. But
Yeah. Okay.
thanks
Yeah.
for letting me vent on that. I appreciate appreciate you giving me the time.
That's right.
Oh god. Um. So we're talking about the coincidences in the film. I
What?
guess we never
Yeah.
determined. So was it Tom Cruise's actions that led them to getting called away?
Oh yeah. I'm not sure, but I don't really think. Like, I think it's still a problem with the like that scene where they just get called away. It still annoys me if it was Cruise's doing, but yeah.
Hmm.
Um, what are some good scenes you liked in the movie? Because I definitely liked that Javier Bardem scene and some other scenes in there. I thought there was some cool moments.
Absolutely. I that with the Javier Bardem scene, I did I just say his name weird? I feel like I did.
Javier Bardem, Javier. I don't know.
Javier Bardem. That makes more sense, right?
Sure.
I don't know, but no, it was cool that he was in the film. He's in it for one scene, and that was really cool. But I didn't love the scene, and it honestly came down to Jamie Foxx in that scene for me, where it wasn't so much his performance, but I guess it's also then it links to the tension thing. It links to those kind of continuing issues in the film where I don't like how the relationship between him and Vincent, it doesn't really I don't feel like it really develops naturally. I kind of feel like it's going back and forth a lot. Like obviously the first moment that Max is confronted with the fact that he's just taken around a hitman all night. That's obviously confronting and he's terrified. But then when they go to the jazz club, he's kind of like hanging out, cracking jokes, even though like half an hour ago he was like, shitting himself. And then he goes back to shitting himself. And I'm just like, I didn't feel there was a lot of consistency because he makes obviously not the scene you're talking about, but in that jazz club, he makes that weird joke about going to music school. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, I don't think that was a joke. I think he was trying to contribute.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Wasn't he like? Oh, he went to music school. Like, he's trying to think of something, wasn't he?
I guess, but that sounds like a joke to me. Like if you
Yeah,
say, "Oh, a musician went to music school,"
yeah. It sounds stupid to me as well, but I think like he
it
looks
wasn't meant as a joke.
he looks genuinely like he's trying to figure it out, like in that scene.
I guess you're right. Yeah, that was a weird line of dialogue either way, whether it
Yeah,
was a joke or
it
not.
definitely was. Yeah,
But you get what I'm saying? I feel like in that scene, like beforehand, he was just happy chilling out, listening to this other dude, this jazz guy, just chatted up, and they were just like hanging out. He was having a drink. It's kind of strange.
yeah. But at the same time, I think Tom Cruise in this movie, Val Vincent, I guess, manages to be both, a sociopath, but also like like a likable guy. You know, he's very
Yeah.
witty and philosophical at times and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So I definitely think.
And
Oh, you go.
You definitely think.
Oh, I definitely think like Max just liked him a little bit, just as the audience can sort of like his character in it, Tom Cruise's character in it. But yeah.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't want to get too far off because I definitely have more to say about that character. But that's right. We were talking about the nightclub scene, right? And I feel like in that scene with Bardem there, it was another example of just a weird tonal shift that didn't really work for me. Where Jamie Foxx walks in and he's shitting himself talking to the guard out the front. He's shitting himself walking through. He's shitting himself when he sits down. He tells Bardem that he's sorry for losing the contract, and then he really quickly just goes, "Yo, I'm not taking no shit from you, bro." Like,
Well, I don't think I didn't have a problem. I didn't think it was like an immediate shift, but I think in that scene, I don't know. Jamie Foxx is kind of like he's trying to be badass, but he's kind of badass, but he's kind of unconvincing in that way, or the script is at least. Like he's kind of
yeah.
like, oh, I'm not putting that to, shove it up here. It's kind of not, yeah.
But I feel like he does that. He does do that a few times. But I feel like the Bardem scene he doesn't. Like, I feel like the Bardem scene he makes it all the way. He's legit.
Yeah, well, he's definitely committing to it at that point, but
Yeah.
he just still doesn't seem intimidating, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then
Okay.
Bardem reacts like, oh, this guy, he's intimidating.
Yeah. And I just don't. It didn't work for me because I feel like the drug kingpin, which I get he is that right. I guess he's a drug kingpin.
Um, yeah, I guess so.
I feel like he would have that reaction, like, oh shit, Jamie Foxx, he's talking some game now, talking some trash. I feel like he would have that reaction if Jamie Foxx, from the start, had committed to it. I feel like it would have served the character better if he'd walked in fully 100%. Yo, I'm committing to this confidence right now. Whereas he kind of like he was a total pussy until he wasn't.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. It was just a scene that kind of stuck out to me a little bit.
Okay.
But is there what other scene stuck out to you in the film?
So I think my favorite scene in the movie was after they're killing the in the nightclub.
Hmm.
When Vincent kills the Chinese mob boss character or crime figure character, and
Yeah,
Mark Ruffalo's character, who we're sort of following the whole time because he has this kind of uh knowledge, like this premonition that Max isn't the real guy killing these people.
yeah,
And so when Ruffalo's character takes Max out of the club, it's kind of like, oh, Max is going to get some leverage. Things are going to happen for Max. But then he Mark Ruffalo's character instantly gets shot, and that kind of shocked me a little bit. It was the only moment in the movie where I was kind of taken back a little bit because, well, it's the one moment that kind of subverts the audience's expectations. You're rooting for Ruffalo to kind of uncover the truth, and then he gets shot like that. So it kind of leaves it up all back to Max to take the responsibility. So I thought that was a very good sort of twist there on expectations.
absolutely. It took me by surprise, 100%. I was like, holy shit, he just got shot. Although I will say, and I feel like whenever I bring up these kind of logical consistencies, they don't really bother me that much. It's definitely nitpicking, but is it just me or did Tom Cruise kind of teleport outside?
Um, yeah, that is weird because he was shooting the. Yeah, I guess so.
Like the last time we saw him, he like shot the Chinese guy, did his cool, really cool, like the signature pattern they were talking about with like what was it, the 2 or 3 shots of the chest and then the head.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Last time we did that, he did that and then was walking out. And then we cut to Jamie Foxx and Mark Ruffalo rushing out. So then in that sequence, you'd presume that Tom Cruise is behind them, but then they get out and Tom Cruise is already out there and he shoots them.
Yeah, there were some little problems like that in the movie, but yeah.
Yeah, nitpicking, 100%. Um, but I really glad you mentioned, that death was pretty surprising. God bless Mark Ruffalo, by the way. Just I feel like he's like often playing these kind of cop characters. The one that stands out to me is the Zodiac character. Um, he's not the Zodiac killer, but the character in Zodiac.
Yeah, Cop
And
and 30.
he's just so consistent. You just know what you're going to get from Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. He's
He's really
definitely
good.
he's definitely played a different sort of he was still a cop character in this movie, but it was sort of interesting, sort of a more aggressive character, I guess.
Yes, and that was backed up well by something else I really, really was surprised to see in the film, which I guess you'd call it. What would you call it? The character designs, or the I guess it's just kind of makeup and hair or whatever, but the way in which the film depicts these A-list actors in a much different way than we're used to seeing them, like almost all of them, which I thought was awesome. Like when Mark Ruffalo showed up, I'm like, "Yo, is that Mark Ruffalo?" Because he's
Yeah.
got he's got the earring, he's got the kind of the shorter trim beard, and he's got like the short hair as well, and that's like something we never see from Mark Ruffalo. And then the same applies to essentially everyone. Jamie Foxx, probably less so Jamie Foxx, but obviously Tom Cruise having the grey hair,
Yeah, the grey
and
mustache. No, not the grey
that,
beard, yeah.
yeah,
Very
yeah, that was
strange.
awesome,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then who and Javier Bardem as well, having just everything short and trimmed, and maybe that was just I don't know, maybe that's what he looked like at the time, but to me, I'm like, wow, I've never seen any of these actors kind of portrayed like this, and that's something that I thought was cool. They made an effort to make these people that everyone knows kind of more unique.
Yeah. Javier Bardem definitely looked different than completely different from his, No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah,
Chico role.
absolutely.
Completely different
Uh,
people.
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, to be fair, with that case, he kind of looks different in every movie, sorta.
Yeah, you reckon? I mean,
Well,
in Skyfall, he's definitely different as well.
Skyfall, and then I feel like I don't think I've seen him in enough movies to be honest. Like, he's what does he look like in Mother?
Um, oh, just a regular dude, I guess.
Just just a regular dude. Well, I mean, if that's true, if he looks like a regular dude in Mother, it's the only time he's looked like a regular dude.
Yeah, that's
So,
unique as well.
absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So I thought I'd mention. What would you call it? The character designs? I don't know.
Yeah, character makeup, character design. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that effort went into that clearly. Um, so that was really cool. But continuing with the nightclub scene, I absolutely loved the nightclub scene. It was my favorite scene in the movie by far because I felt like it was the action set piece that really delivered, I think, on the tension that the rest of the film kind of lacked, and really brought that kind of flair that I know Michael Mann can bring. Like it's the scene that most reminded me of Heat in a very good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um.
Because
Okay.
it's just I don't know, like I feel like it definitely resembles the final shootout of Heat, which is a great scene, and where but obviously having the added element of the crowd instead of the airport was really cool, and I just felt it actually really worked where the direction didn't lose its focus. It was kind of confusing, like where everyone's positioned, but it felt like it that at least felt like it was the point because of the crowded environment and the kind of quick cutting and all that. It really worked for me.
Okay. I can't say it had the same effect, but it was definitely a well done scene, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing to the scene was I wonder if you well you mentioned earlier that the soundtrack and score didn't really do much for you, but for me the score here or the soundtrack, and that's another thing because the score of a film, right, is the original music that's composed for the film, and then the soundtrack is other music that's selected. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm not sure if whatever music they played during this nightclub scene, whether it was part of James Newton Howard's score or whether it was a song or I don't know what it was. But whatever the hell it was killer. I absolutely loved it. Basically said audibly while I'm watching it, like this is terrific. Um, just the way it was just, I mean, it was just a killer beat. It was a banger, and then the way it complemented really well the tension and the action of the scene, like I just mentioned, I thought it was great, really memorable.
That scene reminded me most of John Wick, I guess, but it's kind of obvious comparison. But
Yeah, maybe that's why I like it.
yeah, probably.
Oh oh my god, dude, John Wick's so good. But anyway, yeah, no, that did feel a lot like John Wick, and then also feeling like John Wick was basically all of Tom Cruise's action in this movie. Like he was really solid. I feel he felt. I mentioned earlier in that final scene, he felt like a Terminator the way he was running through. But throughout the whole thing, the way he just completely blast people down with his pistol, he felt like a Terminator. Really had that great kind of physicality to it, to the action.
Yeah, and that scene where Jamie is like beeping the taxi, and then these guys come, and Tom
Yeah,
Cruise just shoots them both. That was a pretty good scene for his his
absolutely,
action side.
absolutely. Popped out there and destroyed those fellas. Let's take a break from our general discussion just for a second. I don't want to derail anything, but I did take aside some interesting IMDb trivia points. Do you read IMDb trivia um,
No, I don't.
and facts after a film? You don't.
No, do you?
Well, there you go.
I
Look,
guess you
I
do.
absolutely do every time, and I'm happy to spill some beans on you here. This is great.
Okay.
Um, hang on. Where should I start? Actually, we'll talk about Tom Cruise. Let's start with this. According to Michael Mann, Vincent is a man able to get rid I'm sorry, able to get in and out of anywhere without anyone recognizing or remembering him. To prepare for the movie, Tom Cruise had to make FedEx deliveries in a crowded Los Angeles market without anyone recognizing him. What?
That's Tom Cruise for you.
Exactly. Just that is such a Tom Cruise thing to do. Like, I don't even. How is that even possible? Like, what does he do for that? Does he wear like a mask or something?
I
Does he just
don't.
wear like a cap?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's hilarious.
Maybe he wears his makeup for this film, like he wears the grey hair, and then no one can recognize him.
Yep, possible.
I feel like that would work pretty good.
Just wears a hat,
Um,
walks to the
yeah,
crowd.
exactly. Oh, yeah, he kind of looks like Tom Cruise. Sticking with Tom Cruise, and we mentioned the final scene in the dark earlier. Do you know that shot? It made me crack up in the moment. You know where he breaks through the window and kind of falls over the chair.
Which what you talking about?
The final it's the final scene right after he's shot in the neck. In the building or whatever, and then Jamie Foxx and Jada, whatever her character's name is, they're running out of the building,
Oh right. Yep.
and he kind of breaks through the window and falls over like an office chair.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was pretty funny the way he did it, but that was an obviously. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious, but just throwing it out there, it was an accident, and he left it in the film.
That was an accident. Oh, okay. That was
Yeah.
yeah. I thought it was funny at times as well. Like the first death, the first like kill for Tom Cruise after the
Hmm.
guy jumps, or not jumps, gets thrown out the window. Uh, it's like Jamie Foxx is like, oh, take another take another taxi or whatever, get another cab driver, and Tom Cruise is just like, oh, you're not gonna tell anyone, are you? It's just like that's just an example of his kind of Vincent's wit in the movie, his kind of
Yeah.
likability. Obviously he can't let him go because he'll tell somebody, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that was really good. And then he's meant like, yeah, nah, mate, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Um, we mentioned earlier, we discussed quite extensively Jamie Foxx's character arc, and Tom Cruise has less of an arc per se, but I did really enjoy his final scene, his death, um, where he bleeds out on the train seat, and that obviously links back to what he mentions at the very beginning of the film, where he hates Los Angeles because
Yeah.
someone could die on a train and just no one would notice him for days, the corpse sitting there.
I had trouble linking that. idea up though with the themes of the movie. Like
Mm.
for you, how does that idea of like loneliness in the movie, or like not caring about other people, or I guess how does that idea of the train, going around laps with around Los Angeles with a corpse, link up to the sort of philosophy of the movie or the ideas
I,
presented?
I really struggled with this too, and the best attempt I can kind of make is that I feel like maybe this. Oh no, this sounds kind of one dimensional, but maybe it's some kind of criticism of, because obviously the film, encourages Jamie Foxx, or I guess by extension the audience, to take action in our lives, right? And I guess so. I guess in that sense, it's maybe critical of the way in which Tom Cruise chooses to take action. Maybe it's saying like, oh, it's really good for us to be proactive, but don't be a killer. You know what I mean? Or, obviously, that sounds very kindergartenish, but maybe it's suggesting that there is some kind of um, ethical ethical rightness in choosing how we take charge of our own lives.
But I think when Tom Cruise first talks about the guy who goes around on a train, there's not the assumption that the guy was evil or bad in any way, like just that he was ignored. So
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean though. Like in the sense that if you isn't it kind of suggesting that if you're someone who you know chooses to take action by um, disrupting people's lives, ruining people's lives, then you're going to end up being forgotten. You never forge any real connections, and obviously he mentioned his parents briefly in the film, and it kind of relates to that because he never had any. Well, it seems he never had any positive relationship with his dad.
no, but I mean, like when Tom Cruise at the very start of the movie talks about the corpse on the train. Um, he
Mm.
doesn't say that the corpse on the train disrupted anyone's lives or did anything wrong. Just that people ignored him. So he could have been a totally good guy who didn't do anything, and he was still ignored on the train.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point. I don't know if yeah, I don't know if thematically it necessarily links to the I don't know if the actions or the life of that person is really relevant. I don't know.
Maybe it's about the kind of like no one's gonna help you idea in the movie. Because it's also there's sort of a nihilistic vantage point which is presented at one point where it's like
Mm.
Vincent talks about the stars, how the stars don't care, the universe doesn't care, and stuff like that. And so that he's saying like there's no, you don't have a safety net, you can't rely on other people, you gotta do things for yourself, which obviously links up to the idea of taking action and stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but I appreciate you bringing that up because that is a very interesting connection there at the end of the film that I enjoyed a lot. But yeah, it does raise questions. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know.
What did you think of the Fox scene when Max like
Yeah,
stops the car for a fox and they just kind of stare into the distance and you know drip out
that
or
what that
something.
did seem it seemed pretty random in the moment, but great you mentioned it because I did actually see this in the trivia section of the good old IMDb. So bear with me while I get it back up because I was stupid enough to not actually put it in my notes.
Okay.
But yeah, no, you're right. In that moment, the fox definitely seemed. I mean, it was obvious it represented something and meant something, but I wasn't quite sure.
Maybe it was like maybe the fox was kind of representing like Tom Cruise's character, kind of the predator, and Jamie like, or maybe it was just showing how Max's character kind of cares for things
Mm.
and people, and that kind of tilts Tom Cruise in that direction a little bit. Not sure.
Anyway, based off memory, if I can't find it here, essentially the fox it just related to I believe Native American culture and how when you see a fox on the, that comes across your path, you stop and you choose to continue forward. Um, Essentially, bad shit will happen.
Okay, it's interesting.
That's what the trivia said. I don't know if that was the intention. It seemed, it would definitely line up with what happens. But yeah, I don't know if that was exactly 100% the intention, but it was definitely an interesting scene.
Although I don't know, it did feel a bit out of place, but it was interesting for
Yeah, it
sure.
definitely did. It definitely did. I guess I mentioned the score in that nightclub scene I loved. But generally speaking, I love the score throughout the film, particularly during the establishing moments, establishing shots, and sequences where we basically kind of spend time just driving from one place to another with these, obviously lots of shots of different LA locations and freeways and the like. Um, Looks absolutely depressing, but yeah, no, the score during those moments really hit. Really, really enjoyed um, the work done there. None of that standing out to you too much?
The score, I didn't really notice the score, which maybe was a good thing. Maybe it was just sort of so
Mm.
part of the fabric of the movie that I didn't notice it, which would have added to the tone. But I wasn't. It wasn't. What do you call it? It wasn't obvious or anything. Maybe that's a good thing, but
No.
I didn't really notice as much.
Yeah, well, that is an interesting thing. Like, if you don't notice the score in a film, does that make it good or bad?
Yeah, I guess. I guess it can make it good, especially with this kind of movie, which kind of blends realism with its kind of own cool style. If you don't notice it, it's kind of in the background, cool like that. So yeah, it's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it did a good job of complementing uh, the depiction of LA because obviously in Heat, I think that's another similarity to Heat. There it goes. It comes back up again. Is I think Mann does a really good job. Is it? By the way, it's Mann, right? You don't say Mann.
Yeah, I think it's Man. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, Michael Mann, the way he depicts LA in Heat, and then in this film as well, are very consistent. I kind of does he have something against the city, or does he love it? Like,
I think. Well, are you saying like it's sort of a disgusting betrayal or bad betrayal?
no, I wouldn't call it disgusting or negative necessarily. It's just like I don't know. He definitely doesn't portray it. I don't think he portrays it as the best place in the world either. Maybe it's because he likes the place and he's trying to kind of ground it realistically, or maybe I don't know, or maybe he doesn't like it. I feel like it's got to be one or the other though for him to come back to that setting.
Well, yeah, I feel like he definitely likes it because it gives it its own vibe in two different movies.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I'm looking up here. Is he from LA? That's what I'm wondering.
Probably.
Well, apparently he was a student of London's International Film School, so I guess not. Oh no, hang on, never mind. He was born in Chicago. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that didn't really answer any questions. Has he lived there? Has he not? Who knows? Maybe.
Who knows?
I mean, to be fair, if he's a director, he probably lives there now. The film grain on this film is kind of out of control.
Yeah. So there is film grain, right? Because
Oh,
I
100%.
was getting paranoid about that. I thought, is it film grain or
Is my TV broken?
no? Like afterwards, I was trying to remember if there was or wasn't. But
Oh, right.
yeah, it kind of adds to the style and stuff.
Yeah, I really liked it. I just noticed, like, dude, there is hella film grain right now. I always enjoy when they just decide, let's just turn up the film grain because why not?
Got anything else?
I don't think so. I don't think I wrote down anything else. Oh, actually, no. Hang on, I'm lying. What was up with Jason Statham's cameo at the start? That was random.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Felt like he just came from another movie and just dropped off.
Super strange. Super strange. I thought, oh, okay, well, Jason Statham's in this movie now, so he'll be a character later on.
Yeah,
Never comes back. Has one line.
yeah. And
That was
oh,
strange.
I was actually looking at the movie cast earlier, and he's like a named character, which is weird.
Really?
Yeah.
That is strange. Oh my god. That's really funny. And he has the line of dialogue, and obviously the line of dialogue's in his absolutely amazing accent. So it's like they're very aware they've got Jason Statham here. It's not like, oh, he's just playing an extra. It's like we're shoving it in your face that Jason Statham's in this scene right now.
Yeah, just for one scene. He's
Just for the
gone.
one scene. Oh, that's great. All right, well, I mean, Jason Statham, obviously always the best way to end any kind of discussion on any film.
Of
Um,
course.
I will say, actually, let me throw out one more piece of trivia for you. Um, Javier Bardem only
Okay.
spent 2 days filming. He did, however, spend several months learning to speak English with a Mexican inflection for the role. So I don't know enough about Bardem. Is he from Mexico?
I'll look it up.
Okay,
I'm pretty
because
sure
I feel like
it's
it's interesting.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Spain. Yeah, it's from Spain. I'm pretty sure.
So when it says speak English with a Mexican inflection, like,
Yeah.
why does he have to learn that?
Well, I assume Spain and Mexico have slightly different inflections of
Yeah,
Spanish.
yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah, I
That
think
makes
that would
makes a
be
lot
it.
of sense. Anyway, yeah, I had that there, and I'm like, why not? I'll throw it out there.
All right. Well, you want to wrap us up, Zach?
Sure. Well, let's chuck out our score out of 10 for Collateral. You go first. What are you going to give Collateral out of 10?
I'm gonna give Collateral a 7 out of 10.
I am also going to give Collateral a 7 out of 10. Good film.
Oh, there you go.
Not quite great. Never becomes overly memorable.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
All right, great. Well, that's our discussion on Collateral. Now, I'm just throwing this out there. Do you want to quickly talk about some good old coronavirus news regarding and its effects on theaters or not?
Yeah, sure. That'd be interesting.
Let's do it. So, obviously, over the past few weeks, the whole world's falling apart. But other than that, particularly as it relates to movies and theaters and all this, there's some crazy shit going down. So, and actually, most of it's honestly happened over the last 24 hours. So, basically, we know No Time to Die was cancelled last week. Oh, cancelled, Jesus Christ, I would die if that happened. I mean, was postponed until November last week, and the
Yeah.
uh, the studio at that time didn't specifically cite the coronavirus, but just mentioned concerns with the international market. So they meant the coronavirus. They were
Is that
postponing it.
is that everywhere? That postponement?
Yes.
Okay, that sucks.
So yeah, it definitely sucks. So
Yeah,
they were obviously concerned no one was going to go and see it.
it's gonna be a big November December. All these movies coming up then. You got No Time
As
to
long as we're
Die
not
and
dead.
yeah, you got No Time to Die and Dune together now, so it's gonna be
Oh
pretty
yeah,
crazy at the end of the year for sure.
absolutely. And then I wouldn't be surprised if a ton more move there, honestly.
Yeah, most likely.
And then they might move again because there's too many.
Yeah, definitely throwing a wrench in the works.
Huge. So many theaters are going to close down because of this, and are going to face so many financial issues because of this. People are, I mean, I guess justifiably so. I guess justifiably so. Kind of upset, worried about this. People aren't going to go to these crowded environments, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, yeah, can't do anything about it, I guess.
No, no, it's a shame. So many people are going to suffer, but yeah, whatever. So,
Record that line right there.
oh Jesus Christ, no.
Zach Penn, 2020.
That was awful. Well, I'm glad we had definitely one moment where I was painted as the worst human being on the planet in this episode. It had to happen at least once every episode. Holy shit. To be clear, I meant it as a transition to what I was about to say next, but I literally just said I don't give a shit about any one of you, is what I just said, to be clear.
Yeah, it's
By
like
accident.
letting your true self out on the internet.
Yeah, I've been exposed fully. I mean, look, don't be surprised if anyone who listens to this is going to be thrown in as a terrible human being like me. Fair enough. All right, what I was going to say is that the films that directly have been affected at the moment, because they're releasing in the coming month or two, are Mulan, Fast Nine, The New Mutants. I mentioned Bond, A Quiet Place Part Two. Those films have all been indefinitely delayed. So they have, I believe, I could be wrong about this, I believe all of them have no release date at this point, even though they're obviously essentially done. Um,
I think I think Bond is November.
You're right. Bond is November, but those other ones,
Okay.
I don't believe have any indefinite date. Um, yeah, it just sucks, you know. Like, how does this affect other films, you know, coming out in June, July? I feel like there's a good chance, you know, obviously depending how this all goes in the coming weeks and months, like that so many films are just pushed back um just a few months. You know, like we could see these movies that were meant to come out March, April, we could see them coming out in July, August, and then hence films that were meant to come out in November coming out early next year.
Yeah, does suck. Although I saw a tweet from Adam from Your Movie Sucks, and he said like, not that this will happen or anything, but he said like, oh, now would be a good time for movies to start to try like digital only first day releases. That would be interesting if like we got movies
Mm,
which just released worldwide, uh, just for straight to renting or whatever. So there could be
absolutely.
interesting changes to the industry because of this epidemic.
There definitely could be. I can see that happening in very specific circumstances, but I think generally speaking, the chances of that happening are low because
Yeah, most likely. Yeah,
just the money made from theatrical releases is just too substantial. Like, look at Mulan, right? That was only what? Wasn't it only like a week or two away at this point?
yeah, it was.
So, and you know, now they're losing. That was going to make over 1 billion. I can guarantee it. With obviously the Chinese market kind of
Yeah,
appealing in that sense,
Chinese market. Yeah,
and that's just now going to lose all that opportunity. Like, if they were to release that digitally or on Disney Plus or whatever the hell, like, they're just not going to make the same money. I wouldn't have thought so.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, so yeah, I mean, you know, like we can repeat all day. This sucks, but from a selfish perspective, you know, were we interested in seeing Mulan?
Oh, Milan. No, I'm more like Bond and A Quiet Place Part Two. I'm definitely
Mm.
not too happy about, but I don't really mind about the other ones.
Nah, I'm the same. I'm the same. See, I didn't even really like. I'm sorry. I tell you that. I did like the original A Quiet Place. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was great, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, same.
And I was interested in seeing part two mainly for the theater experience of it. You know.
Hmm. It's actually a funny time as well for Part Two because it's about the spread of a epidemic or whatever.
Well, hang on. Is A Quiet Place about an epidemic, or isn't it just aliens?
Oh well, like not a virus epidemic, but
Apocalyptic scenario.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. That is quite ironic. All right. Well, I'll quickly here. I'll give you the chance. Have you been watching? Have you watched any other films in the past week, or any other TV shows you're catching up on in the last week that you wanna share your thoughts on to the world?
Well, in the wake of the coronavirus, there's actually this really good virus zombie type movie, 28 Days Later by Danny Boyle, and it's got Killian Murphy in it. It's
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's a very good post-apocalypse story if you want to check that out. Very good music and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I have not seen that. Well, actually, you know what? You're funny you mentioned that. Um, I feel like we should, at least in the, we don't have to do it now, whatever. But I feel like in the future we should kind of set a precedent for being able to just say what the next week's film is at the end of this week. You know?
Yeah, maybe. Although we'd have to figure that out for like streaming service and what we both
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
available to us and stuff.
Well, how did you watch 28 Days Later?
Oh, it was on Foxtel.
Right.
Yeah, I have on demand Foxtel, so
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Um, then I guess we won't be doing that.
no.
um, all right. Well, I mean, what have I watched? I've watched still watching Better Call Saul. Amazing. if you've obviously, you know, everyone needs to watch Breaking Bad. If you don't, what are you doing? If you've watched Breaking Bad, you need to watch this show. Absolutely killer stuff. And Westworld starts in 2 days, and I'm very excited about that. So there you go. That's the end of the first episode of Cinema Effect. I hope you enjoyed the show. To the one or two people that are still listening at this point, you made it this far. God bless your little heart.
Thank you.
Um, and by the way, the one or two people, they're both us.
Yeah, probably.
Because I'm pretty sure Fitzy isn't even listening at this point. So it's really, you know, it's either me or maybe me and him.
Yeah, I tuned out like half an hour ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll leave all the fun links in the description of the podcast, whether you're listening on podcast services. Again, fingers crossed it works, or on the YouTube channel. So you can find all the good stuff there, all the Twitters, all the I don't know, all the other links and shit that we, you know, try and self promote.
Yeah.
Do you have any final words?
Nope. Follow me on Letterboxd. How about that?
There you go. Oh, that's a great point. I will leave our Letterboxd profiles in the description. And if you haven't got Letterboxd, I mean, get on it. If you're a film fan, it's really good. Because you mentioned it to me not too long ago, and my first thought was like, oh, you know, do I need another IMDb?
Yeah.
Not really. But I really enjoy it for that social aspect of it. And I still use IMDb obviously a lot for, you know, like I just have for today, but being able to write reviews, look at other people's reviews, it feels a lot more like a community on there.
Yeah, it's definitely more social. Plus, if you already have IMDb, you can just import your ratings and export them onto Letterboxd, so you don't have to do any work for that except to move random TV shows and stuff like that. But yeah, because it's only
Yeah,
movies on Letterboxd. But yeah,
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's a good point to mention. But yeah, so feel free to get Letterbox, follow us on there if you give two shits about our opinions. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Watching? There's no video. Listening to Cinema Effect. Appreciate your time. Take care and goodbye. Are you going to say goodbye?
oh, goodbye.